Who were my family and what did they look like? Find out about Mary Elizabeth Wilson. I asked my mum what she could remember. What do you remember about your great-grandma?
Well, I remember a very kind, very gentle lady. And my images of her are sitting in her kitchen, because by the time I was born her husband had died, and she used to live in her kitchen, really, in front of a roaring open fire, on a chair that had lots of crocheted knitted blankets on it.
I asked my great-grandma what she could remember.
Do you remember about your mum?
Well, when I think about my mum, I think of she was such a lovely person. She never ever complained about anything. She was just so kind. Everybody loved her, including me, and I still miss her.
Remember about your dad?
Oh, so much. He because of my mum, looked after my grandparents when they were so ill. When my dad came in from work, he used to take over and look after me. He used to take me all over, just wrap me in his top coat and take me across the football field. He used to take me out to visit relatives all over the place. He used to take me to the first seaside place he ever took me to. It was a place called Marsden Rock, and that's where he said if I found a stone with a hole in it, it was a lucky stone. So wherever I go, if I find a stone with a hole in it, I take it home, and I have quite a lot. And he used to carry me up to bed every night and read me stories, sing to me when I was little, with me on my knee. He was much older than my mum, but what a lovely man he was as well. I love both my parents so much.
About her childhood.
She had a very poor childhood. She was born into a very poor family living in Sunderland near the shipyards where her father worked. He died and she had a stepfather who was a very violent man. He lost his job on the shipyard, and basically the whole family, she had a lot of siblings, had to be split up. The parents went to the workhouse, and I believe most of the children ended up in Dr. Bernardo's, of which Mary Wilson ended up.
Did you ever see her brothers and sisters ever again?
No, she never saw them, and she said she never wanted to. It's quite sad, but she said it was such an awful time in her life, her childhood, that she just didn't want to remember any of it, and that included tracking down her mother, her brothers and sisters, anyone that reminded her of that time.
What about your little sister?
Cynthia was born when I was 7. She's a beautiful baby, blonde hair, beautiful little girl. And at the time when she was born, Auntie Mary, who was my dad's other sister, it was Auntie Dorry then Auntie Mary, lived with my uncle. She was married, but they had no family, and they moved to a beautiful big house down at Lowfell. Now then, when Cynthia was a baby, we used to go down to see Auntie Mary, but then when Cynthia was 3, she used to be always getting colds, and the doctor suggested to have her tonsils and adenoids out. Well, in those days there was quite a few children that died having their tonsils and adenoids out, and my mum said if she didn't go to this children's hospital, should let her go when my mum and dad did. So they went to a hospital in Rye Hill, Newcastle. Now I can remember it very, very vividly. I went to stay with Auntie Mary and Uncle Harry on the Friday. My mum and dad took Cynthia to the hospital on the Friday. On the Sunday morning, I woke up in my little bedroom at Auntie Mary's, and I heard somebody walking along the landing, and I knew it was my dad. And I jumped out of bed, ran downstairs, and Auntie Mary said, Cynthia's died. Blood poison had set in. In those days there was no penicillin. Blood poison had set in and she was poisoned. So we came home. My mum and dad and I walked home. And then I can still see the coffin in the front room, and the whole room was full of chrysanthemums. I can't bear to look at big chrysanthemums now. And all I can remember about the funeral is there was a big carriage with horses with the black plumes, and the coffin was on the back. I didn't go, I stayed at the house. And they went to the funeral. But there was a lot of relatives there, some that I didn't know. And after the funeral, when people came back, I couldn't understand why people were laughing and talking and things when my little sister just died. But that's the way of life, isn't it? People get together and they haven't seen each other for years and they talk and that. But Cynthia, I'll never forget her. Never. She was only 3. Beautiful. And that's why I think my mum and dad had another child. I don't think they would have had any more, but because Cynthia died, I had my brother in 1931.